What is up, my peeps? I'm Leon the Paperback Maniac. Happy Halloween. I am coming at you tonight with another vintage paperback horror review. My final, Halloween themed horror review for 2018. And the book we are looking at today is Torments by Lisa Cantrell. This book was published by Tor in 1990, and it is a sequel to a book called Manse, which I actually read last Halloween, and a book that I didn't care for very much, but did have some merits, as this one does. So this book, first of all, has amazing cover art, as you can see. That is probably the best thing about this book, I will say right now. Actually, that's not true. That's one of two very good things about this book. But the cover art is amazing. I mean, it does not get more Halloween-y than that, right? Am I right about that? Yes, the cover is amazing. I'll go ahead and read the synopsis from the back cover here. Trick or treat, Halloween. A time to dress up like a monster from your worst nightmare and collect good things to eat. Only this year, the monsters aren't costumes and the nightmares are real. And the good things to eat are people's souls. Yes. All right. So as I said, this book is a sequel to a book titled Manse, which, although I read it last year, I came to find I forgot quite a lot about in the year that has elapsed. That book was published in, I think, 87, and it actually won the Bram Stoker Award for first novel in 87, the first year of that awards. And that just kind of floors me because it actually won. It was up against some really good books, such as Clive Barker's Damnation Game, which should have won, and also Rex Miller's Slob. I was really excited to read The Manse, and when I read it last year, the way I felt about it is much the same way I feel about this one, which is that it had amazing cover art, and the writing was truly beautiful. Now, Lisa Cantrell, I don't think she writes anymore. I'm not sure what she's up to these days, but definitely a talented writer in the prose department. Just some gorgeous, flawless descriptive writing. That book, and this one too. And this one, the writing is even, a little better. And that's the first thing that you'll notice. Well, after the cover art, I was really taken away by just the level of writing, the descriptive flair, and sort of like the just amazing sort of prose style that is displayed here. Really, really good. Now, this book, I had thought I had heard that you didn't really need to read The Manse to read this one, and it's true that you don't, because it does give you, it does catch you up to speed a little bit. But I think it would be highly, I would recommend, if you are going to read this one, you probably would want to read The Manse first. But if I'm being honest, the time that you would want to read this book is Halloween time, and it's not the best book to read in October, I'll tell you that. I started this thing, I don't know how long, maybe like a couple of weeks ago, and it just is not very exciting. It's not a book that begs to be picked up, let's just put it that way. This book, it takes place a couple of years after the events of the first novel, The Manse, where this sort of a haunted house attraction had a terrible tragedy. It burned down. It was kind of like this house of horrors that this town sort of did every year at Halloween. And a bunch of kids died in this inferno in which there were reports of some monster rising out of the flames. And this book picks up 2 years later, where the survivors of that tragedy are kind of, picking up the pieces, and the town is trying to move on. And at the site of the former manse or mansion where that house of horrors had been, they are building a condominium complex. And apparently the original title for this novel was Condos from Hell, which I think is kind of a fun title, although Torments is a better title. So they're building this new condominium complex, and of course things are going weird, right? There's weird things have been happening. It's been beset with problems. In fact, the owner of this project has sent in some appraiser to check it out and to, see if this thing is even cost effective and what's going on. And, weird shit is happening. Like the pool mysteriously sinks in. There are reports of little ghost girls in windows. A giant rat emerges from underneath the condo and attacks the interior designer who has got a model condo that she's staying in there. And, weird shit happens. And the book kind of slowly putters along and, eventually kind of culminates in sort of like a climax where it does kind of pick up a little bit. But at that point, it's sadly too little too late. Now this book, what I will say about it, of course, as I mentioned, the writing is really strong. The writing is good. In fact, the first few pages of this thing, when I started it, I was really excited because, I'm a kind of guy who does appreciate craftsmanship, and I can, I read for many years books solely based on sort of like, aesthetic and style. But reading a book like this now kind of reminds me that those days are long gone. I cannot really stay engaged with a book solely from the writing style. This book has some great writing, but pretty slow going. It didn't really like beg to be picked up, in my opinion. But what this novel actually kind of reminded me of is the problem that I have with horror television. Surprisingly, I actually kind of saw this book as I was reading as sort of like, it reminded me of like one of these horror series that's all the rage now. That and in the fact that it's kind of like does all of this world building and introduces all of these characters. And you're excited at first because it's well done, and you've got some interesting characters, and it seems to be done well, filmed well. But then what inevitably happens with these TV series, like on Netflix or whatever station, I always end up watching a few episodes and then just basically lose interest, because horror, in my opinion, is not meant to be stretched out like that. In fact, there's a reason a lot of people think, the short story is actually the sort of perfect length for a horror story. I don't think, and of course I'm a fan of, big epic novels as well, but there's something to be said for sort of tight, short, punchy horror stories. For example, like a Richard Lehman story where, it's just short and to the point and things happen. You don't need to go into all of this. You don't need to stretch everything out. Kind of like the current trend of slow burn horror, which I like, if it's done well. But this idea that things are just slowly building and building and building, and you have to wait till the fucking end to get some sort of payoff. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's not really worth my time. And so this book was kind of like one of these shows where you're kind of waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for some sort of payoff, and you get these little mini payoffs, in a show where you might get something happening at the end of the episode, but it really isn't until the end of the season where things really start to pay off. And that's kind of how I felt about this book too. It just kind of my interest was gone after the first third of it. I was like, okay, where is this going? What's going to happen? And, it does eventually have an interesting climax, but it's a little bit too little too late. And I do sort of, wish, I feel like if I had picked other books, I probably would have read more in October, like more novels. But this one, I just didn't really, I wasn't really eager to get back to it. So I'm sad to say, it wasn't bad. Like I said, worth it for the writing, and it did have a couple of cool scenes. It had there's a cool part where a worker at the condo basically gets pulled into the earth through this pair of rotting, festering hands, and it did have some cool, it opens with a cool scene where these disgusting zombie hands emerge from the earth, and this zombie kind of lurches out, but it kind of just, I don't know, it doesn't really cohere. It doesn't come together in a satisfying way. We're introduced to these characters in the beginning who we think are going to be like major players, and then they're kind of just left, and you don't really hear from them again for a long time. Kind of like a TV series where it's just like all these characters that are really unnecessary, and like at the end you just ask yourself, who gives a shit, right? But yeah. Torments, if you've read the Manse, you can check it out, I guess, if you're curious. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say that there are many better books to read in October. They don't need to always be Halloween set books. And in fact, this has taught me now, this is the second year in a row, because last year I read The Manse, the first book in this series. I think next October, I'm just going to do myself a favor and not try to shoehorn in, just like Halloween setting type books, but maybe just books that sort of embody the spirit of Halloween, just fun, spooky books. Because I think, if you're in the month of October, you want to read fun stuff. You don't want to read things that are to kind of drag, or that you're reading just, to finish it just because you started it, right? So anyway, yeah, that's Torments. Not the best book, but did have some solid writing and had a couple of cool scenes here and there. Yeah, so that's that, guys. By the way, I just want to say this is super cool. I saw that I just hit 500 subscribers, and what a cool thing to have happen on Halloween. It actually happened on Halloween Eve, but that's amazing. I can't believe that this channel actually has 500 subscribers. I started this channel like 10 months ago, and my goal was to get 100. I thought if I had 100, that would be amazing. So I'm really just happy that people are enjoying the content and watching the videos and commenting and all that stuff. That's just really cool. So thank you to everyone who's been watching and who has subscribed to the channel. Recent subscribers and people who have been subscribed. Really means a lot to me, and I hope to keep this channel going and keep it interesting and fun. So yeah, so anyway, just wanted to thank you guys and just wish everyone a happy Halloween. Keep an eye out on the channel. I will be doing more book reviews. I'm going to try to pick some fun ones, because I feel like after this one, I'm going to try to pick like a sure thing. So yeah, keep an eye out. I will be doing another mailbox video very soon because I got some awesome stuff in the mail lately. So yeah, take a look out for that. I will see you guys later.